I'm Luke. Today on Out of Darts, I'm in love with the Perses. Today on Out of Darts, we're going to go over the Nerf Rival Perses. This has quickly become my favorite rival blaster of all time. I think it's the best offering, as I already stated in a previous video. I've had a little bit of a chance to go crazy with the 3D designs for the blaster, and I'm really excited to share some of them with you. Today I'm going to talk about 4 different mods and 2 more upcoming modded parts. They're all 3D printed, all available on my shop. 4 of them anyway, 2 again coming in a couple weeks, maybe actually later this week. These designs are all based around functional or ergonomic changes. I love the blaster in general, but there were a few shortcomings, and the first of those is that it only has a 50-round hopper. Now obviously you can see on here I have my brand new expanded hopper. This hopper holds 160 rounds. It is compatible with stock blasters, featuring a tab that pushes the lock closed. That way you can use it on a completely stock blaster like this one, or a modded 3S blaster. It is 3D printed, and it comes in 2 parts. We ship them together already assembled. They are snap fit. You could glue them if you wanted to, but I really don't see the reason, because the way that the tabs work on the actual design itself lock the hopper in place. The hopper features a flip-top lid, which is magnetic, so it's got magnets in the top and bottom. I like the magnetic because it stays very well closed. The hopper is designed to only open about 45 degrees, so you can use one hand as a third part to a funnel. This makes a little more sense when you've got this on a lanyard, but essentially when this is sitting on a lanyard, you can have one hand here cupping the corner, and you sort of make this nice little triangle to dump large handfuls of rounds in. Now this hopper holds 160. You could cram up to 180 in there, but I'm calling it 160 because anything beyond that is not going to feed well. And it makes loading this thing a breeze. One of the downsides of the blaster with the original 50 rounds is that they really needed to be sort of sorted and filed into the top of that hopper and the feed tray, because it was 3 nicely stacked columns. And those columns of balls, not only did you have to hold the hopper out in front of you like this, but you had to then kind of evenly stack them and make sure the lid could still close. This solves that by just letting you dump the balls in. And on 3S, man, that thing just rips. Now, along with making the lid magnetic, it is also a modular lid. So the lid has a ring and a top, 2 different parts that screw onto the standard ring here. The reasoning for this was that I had several customers and people on Instagram and on YouTube say that I should make it work with paintball pods. So this is sized identically to a paintball hopper. You can dump full load right into the hopper and all over the floor. Works really, really well. And on top of that, I also made it speed feed compatible. So there are these loading gates from a variety of companies. I have a few linked on the product listing. These are directly compatible. They will lock in and screw right on, so you can then put paintballs, rather, you can put rival balls straight into the hopper. Now, unlike paintballs, they are not heavy enough. This is going to be one of the comments if I don't say it. They are not heavy enough to dump through these fingers that stop the balls from falling out. But I find that if you're the type of player that likes to play with, say, dump pouch or cargo shorts, you can easily shove handfuls in here without opening the lid and keep playing. So if you like to play like I do, which is very fast and light, the speed feed will allow you to keep on target, shove balls in here as you pick them out of your pouch or you grab them off the ground, and it kind of keeps you very light and mobile. But ultimately, the choice is up to you. I will sell these speed feeds on the site as well, but for now, you'll have to purchase those separately. Ultimately, with the hopper, the choice of lid is up to you. We offer them with and without lids. You can choose many different colors. All 4 of these products come in 13 plus different 3D printed colors, and we'll be adding more and more to the color library as time goes on. The next mod I did after the hopper was a battery door. The battery door is just simply a great way to add a 3S LiPo. It features a back plate. It's essentially a square. That way the stock battery ejection mechanism actually works and allows you to quickly eject the battery without having to use a tool to pull it out. The battery door is a pretty straightforward design, but it is sort of a necessity if you want to replace and go 3S LiPo on your Perses. And the rate of fire and with the capacity increase, I think it's worth doing the 3S. It's a lot of fun. My next order of business after that was to take care of the trigger. I believe I mentioned in the original review, I do not care for this trigger. It is sort of emulating real steel with these set screws that are locking the actual trigger plate onto the trigger. Notice I don't know any of the actual terms for these parts in real steel, sorry. But I found it to be sharp and a little obnoxious, and it's also just small for the size of my finger. So I immediately designed a comfort trigger very similar to the Hades trigger that Tarek did for me on the shop a while back. This is printed with a 0.2 layer height for most of the actual trigger, and then at the surface where you touch, it's a 0.1 layer height, so it's this nice, smooth, feels much better. It's a larger surface for average adult hands to hold this blaster. And let's face it, a lot of adults are buying these blasters. The grip is large, it's comfortable. It makes sense for it to work with my large fingers too. Next up on the design to-do list was to fix this overly obnoxious large slide. I have more than one time caught this on a belt or tack gear or on the lanyard and ejected the whole hopper onto the ground. Now you could simply snip this off, but you will have a little piece of exposed metal. I thought about just making a cover that you would put on after you slip it off, but ultimately I decided to make a very slim 3D printed version. Now this allows for very easy ejection. I've never had a problem taking this out. You'll find that this blaster doesn't jam underneath the hopper that frequently, so the amount of times that I need to access this are pretty minimal. And so even if I had to do this a couple times a day or even a dozen times, it's very, very easy. Very simple little part, screws in with a 10mm included toy screw, and that holds it in place because the stock screw is a little bit too long. We are expanding the print farm here, and I'm definitely looking to keep designing and make more and more 3D printed parts because designing is still my favorite part of all of this. Next up after these, I do have switch plates. A lot of people have been requesting them. I did them for the Nemesis, and I did them for the Raven and the Strife, and they've been quite popular, so I thought I would make two for here. You'll also notice this one has a PWM. We have a driver board coming for this blaster and many other blasters as well. And lastly, I'm working on an angled foregrip because personally, when I play, the leverage feels a little funny here. I just want to hold up here, but the sharp angles of this, it really seems like it's meant to have a grip. Vertical grip like the Rival one would certainly work, but personally for me, I want to hold at some sort of angle. So I'm working on an AFG, and that should be out in a few weeks as well. Obviously, I've been a little design crazy over the past couple weeks. For any of those that have been watching Instagram, you'd see a lot of evidence of that. You can find me over there for sneak peeks for a lot of upcoming projects and anything I happen to be working on day to day. All of these products are already out in the wild. Thank you so much for the orders. I'm a little shocked at how many hoppers already sold, and we actually had to add a lead time to the website, which is something we've never done, but we are really happy to be getting these out in the hands of customers as soon as possible. I would love to hear your thoughts on all four of these designs, along with the future foregrip and the switch plates. If you have ideas or comments or suggestions, I'd love to hear them in the comments, because the coolest thing about 3D printing is that you can always change things later. Unlike an injection mold where you make a big run and you commit to thousands of units, I could simply make a different version of this at any time. I designed this hopper specifically so I could see over it comfortably, and in the end we may have a version that's larger. That was one thing that was suggested, so if you think you've got ideas like that, I'd love to hear it down below. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. It really does help out my channel. Until next time, I'm out of darts. All right.